So, I just finished watching Pacific Rim Uprising, or Pacific Rim 2, last night. And I went to bed with a lot of fucking questions. Because I loved Pacific Rim 1. It was a great fucking movie, I don't care what people say. Alright? For any little boy who grew up liking monsters and liking robots, that was fucking peak. Okay? I waited my whole life for something like that. So, when they finally got this one out the door, I was hype. I was hype again. I wanted to fucking catch that lightning the second time. But, that didn't happen. Holy shit, that didn't happen. And I'm super glad I waited as long as I did to fucking watch it. 'Cause, yeah. Holy shit, it's bad. So, I didn't buy it or anything, thankfully. Happen to have an HBO subscription right now because Game of Thrones is out. And it's on an HBO, so why not, right? Finally see what everybody's talking about. I've got a list here of all of my fucking complaints, and I'm gonna go through them. And if you enjoy me complaining, you're in for a fucking treat. Alright, so, first up, Obsidian Fury. What the fuck is the point? Okay? Okay, it's kind of cool from like a, outside fourth wall perspective. Like it's a dark gypsy avenger. Okay, there's another complaint right there. Why'd they have to change the name? It's definitely the same fucking one. Okay, unless they had to like completely rebuild it from scratch, but I don't know. I guess I don't remember if it got blown up in the first one or not. It kind of seemed like all of them did, but oh well. Okay, so they had to rebuild it, they had to rename it. Fair, whatever. Anywho, this new one though, Obsidian Fury. What's the point? Like, okay, so fucking Day, whatever the fuck his name is. Charlie Day. So he wants to, get the kaiju through, right? But this thing isn't doing that. It's not even kind of doing that. So, like, unless his agenda was, like, just to, like, pose a threat so that the drones could get, like, deployed. But then he really didn't need that. Like, he didn't need approval to get his drones through. Like, he controlled them through kaiju the whole time. He didn't have to have them deployed. He always could have done that. Nothing was really stopping him. It's just kind of like, oh, well, he just, I don't know, like, wanted the theater or the spectacle of it, I guess? I don't know. It's fucking weird. But I feel like it was just there to distract from the, like, plot twist of the, the Kaiju Jaegers or whatever. Which, on that note, how do you even underplay something like that so poorly? Like, I feel like Kaiju Jaegers should have been a bigger deal. And it was just like, oh no, they're just there to let the kaiju through. Why? The whole, like, goal was to put kaiju blood, enough kaiju blood, into Mount Fuji to fucking terraform the planet. You had hundreds of those things, of those drones, with the kaiju running in them. Why the fuck couldn't you just send those to Mount Fuji themselves? Wouldn't that have worked? Wouldn't that have been enough? And on that note, how the fuck did he just make kaiju, like, hearts and shit? Like, okay, he had, biomass from the leftover kaiju. Okay, that's understandable. That makes sense. How did he keep it alive? How did he, like, re-engineer it to, like, act on its own? Like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. They don't even touch on that. You know, it's just like, what? Where did it come from? Xiao's funding, okay? She's got hundreds of not kaiju, but Jaegers. Hundreds of Jaegers, these drone Jaegers, right? Where's the money for that? Because the first movie definitely establishes that money is still a thing. You know, even when the world is at immediate danger and risk, we're still factoring money into it for some fucking reason. And so she has all this funding, she has all these Jaegers, but the actual team that makes the Jaegers that fight for the fucking, like, sake of the world, they don't even, like, scratch the, like, level of, like, funding she has. Somehow. Like, she's got all these fucking drone Jaegers, and they've got, like, maybe half of the amount that she has. And, like, hers all look like fucking sleek and top of the line and shit. Like, what the fuck? Where does that money come from? And, like, you could say, like, oh, well, maybe she sells the Jaegers. But if she sold the Jaegers, then wouldn't the, like, Defense Department or whatever the fuck they're called, wouldn't they have those Jaegers? We don't see any of those on their side. You know, we don't see, like, our, you know, pilots piloting a Jaeger from a drone perspective, or a drone Jaeger. Because it's not like they have to have the drone brain quantum AI put in them or whatever. But then on that note, like, so clearly the AI thing did work. We see that through Scrapper at the end of the movie, because she actually was using that one. So it's not like it was Kaiju the whole time. There was an AI at some point that was working. It did. How in the fuck did Xiao's AI team let that slip past, that their AI had been replaced by a fucking organic Kaiju organ? You know, these guys are, presumably, fucking top-notch in their fucking industry, working with quantum shit, like, presumably quantum mechanics, to make a fucking AI, and they miss this organic life form inside of their cores. How? How the fuck does that happen? Okay. You know, and then, like, back to the funding. If she's not selling these drones, and she hasn't got the service off the ground yet, like, again, it brings up the question, like, how the fuck did she come up with all this money? How is she just so fucking rich? How is her industry so fucking rich that they literally top out, like, what is basically the Jaeger police? Jesus Christ. Okay, other scrappers, alright? They kind of hint that there's other scrappers out there other than the little girl, but, like, we don't really see them. And when push comes to shove, and, you know, again, the world is in danger, where are all these, like, scrapper Jaegers? Like, shouldn't they be, like, I don't know, like, annexed or fucking, like, you know, taken into custody or whatever to be used for the war effort? Like, what the fuck happened there? Like, why isn't that a thing? I mean, they use Scrapper, but, like, there had to be other, like, you know, jury-rig Jaegers out there, right? So, like, what the fuck? Why weren't they a part of this thing? And, like, why aren't there more rogue Jaegers? Like, if these Scrapper guys are a thing, like, they act like Obsidian Fury was the first rogue Jaeger they really ever saw, but, like, it should be a more, I don't know, like, a more common issue, I would think. Whatever. So, back to the Scrappers, the little girl. How the fuck did she build that thing? Like, I'm not, like, questioning her intelligence or anything like that. Like, the movie shoves that pretty hard. Like, oh, she's a real smart little girl. Okay, fine, whatever. Suspension of disbelief. I get it. You know, little female engineer, girl power kind of thing going on. Great, awesome, cool. But literally, she just has a garage. She has no staff. She has no help. She has, like, I didn't see a whole lot of, like, little cranes or anything like that. You know, there wasn't, like, lifts or ladders or anything like that. Like, she just kind of, like, hopped in it like she just, you know, had it all together this whole fucking time kind of thing. But, like, how did she achieve the construction of this thing? Because presumably she built this thing from, you know, previous parts, but she would have had to assemble those parts. And I don't get how she did that by herself. I guess that's just something I'm not supposed to look into, you know. There's a lot of things like that in this movie. Just don't look into it. Don't question it. Robots are cool. Just watch the robots. More on the topic of construction and reconstruction. So, Sydney, Australia, was attacked 10 years prior? Maybe a little less than that? Right? Completely fucking rebuilt by the time this movie comes out. How? 10 years is a long time, don't get me wrong, but we're talking, like, devastating city damage. And, like, it took longer than a decade for us to rebuild just the World Trade Centers. And these were, like, city blocks of, like, downtown financial districts in Sydney getting completely demolished in the first movie. And they're just rebuilt even bigger in the second one. Okay. Moving on. So the little swarmer dudes at the end of the movie, like little like nanobot looking little fuckers, that presumably just made them somehow without anyone knowing. Just hundreds of thousands of these things, and they're just kind of there. You know, like, I get this guy's supposed to be cutting edge, prime scientist kind of thing, but you don't just get these things, you know? They take resources, they take staffing, they take planning, they take industry creating stuff, you know? Like, you don't just boop, and like, you have a fucking army of nanobots. Like, someone would have fucking noticed that. Someone would have been helping you. Someone would have had to be on your payroll to make them or help you make them. You can't do that shit by yourself. I mean, he says, you know, like, 38 to 40% of her company is automated. Yeah, but that's probably, like, you know, the parts that run the lines and shit, you know? Like, I mean, like, she's still got to have people, like, overseeing the constructions and whatnot. Like, I don't know. They'd know what they were building. It's not like they would just like, pressing my buttons over there, 9 to 5. You know, like, ugh. About those swarms, though, presumably, again, they have kaiju blood in them because they're able to just seamlessly mesh into the kaiju and become organic matter, like it's like not even a thing. So, there's no question of whether or not they're kaiju enough, because they just literally fuse 3 kaijus together. So why the fuck didn't Newt just send them to the fucking mountain? There were hundreds, if not thousands, if not more than that. How much blood do you need, you know, to accomplish this task? Like, does it just have to be this one kaiju? Is that what matters? This one fucking kaiju is the fucking, like, the messiah that's gonna fucking make this work? Whatever, it's just gonna be tilted. I don't fucking get it. You know, like, what the fuck? I already touched on that one, I'm just gonna skip it. So the Jaegers, again, with the, like, police force, whatever they're called, I don't know, I'm just gonna call them Jaeger police. Where are all their Jaegers? You know, they do the whole, like, oh, well, most of them were destroyed, we've only got 3 left online, kind of thing. But, you mean to tell me you kept all of your Jaegers in this one facility Again, you did this again. The same problem happened in the first movie. They came for the central hub of where all the Jaegers were. They destroyed most of them. You had very few to work with. It happened again. And you fell for it again. You guys need to keep these things in different places and keep them, you know, ready to be deployed, but keep them separated. And just, we only have 3 or 4 or however many. Okay, all right. And the impractical ones. Okay, so we know what works. We know a well-balanced Jaeger like Gypsy is the key. And, you know, and that's not just like script immunity or whatever. We can see that with Eureka 7 or Eureka Striker Eureka. That one. From the first movie is of a similar build and a similar type to Gypsy and seems to work really well. And, you know, those are the two that really work throughout the film. So, why are we still building these giant ones? Ones that require 3 pilots instead of 2. Why are we building a super fast one when we already saw that Crimson Typhoon, also a really, really fast one in the first one, got ripped to shreds because he just didn't have the endurance to take the hits? You know, and again, with the big ones, we learned from Chernobyl, or whatever the fuck the big fiery dude was, the one with the flamethrower in the first one. We realized that one didn't do well either because it was too big, so it wasn't maneuverable enough to deal with the fast kaiju. So we know balance is key. We know that the perfect Jaeger, or the best Jaeger to fight these kaiju, has to be a mid-tier Jaeger. It has to be in the middle, a balance. So why do we keep building all these other ones? Why do we keep building these impractical ones? Oh, well, there might be different kaiju, so we might need different Jaegers for a different threat. Okay, but the middle ones kind of just handle everything. It's a catch-all. You know, they've got a big laser in their chest for dealing with the big ones. They got the swords for dealing with literally everything. You know what? No, we're gonna make a new point on the swords. Why the fuck don't all of them have swords? You know, we know the swords are effective, hyper effective even. Like, why is this not just being implemented in all of them? Because these are all presumably new Jaegers. You know, these have been built in the 10-year span since the last movie. They're brand new Jaegers that we didn't have previously. Why don't they all have fucking energy swords? I want answers. God damn it, I want answers. The biofuel. At the start of the film, you know, they're squabbling back and forth, Newt and Cane Boy, and presumably Cane Boy is like, I need help with the biofuel project for my thrusters. And, you know, they just glaze over it, and then it comes back later. But he was begging for help. He wanted help understanding, like, how the biofuel shit works. He had a theory. He just wanted to, like, run it through with, you know, Newt. But Newt never actually helped him. Newt never went over it with him. And then just later in the film, presumably, he just kind of figured it all out and made it work anyways. What the fuck? So that's weird. And then he didn't really have anyone, like, working with him on that project. At least it didn't seem like it. So, like, did he just kind of make it work himself? He's crippled. He's limping all over the place. Like, you expect me to believe that this one dude got this project up and running? Like, okay, they had help at the end, sure. But it looked like he had a lot of that stuff already, like, ready, already prepped. Oh, jeez. The repairs. repairs to the Jaegers. How? You know, like, the Kaiju were already on their way to Mount Fuji. They're already, you know, going there to attack. And they had the time to stop and rebuild all these Jaegers and then equip them with the bio thrusters and then try and deploy them with the bio thrusters all within probably hours of deployment. Because, I mean, those Kaiju are huge. It wouldn't take them that long to get where they're going. And some of them are faster than others. They all seem to be pretty fast. They didn't seem like they were super slow. Okay, suspension of disbelief, I guess. So we already covered the Bio Jaegers and the Swarm going to Mount Fuji. Covered Newt's resources and his staff. We covered Shao's AI team. Alright, one last point. This is the only one I got left. What the fuck is Ron Perlman? Like, why did we waste an after credit scene to show that he survived the first movie if we weren't gonna bring him back for the second one? What gives? Those gold shoes, man. I want to see those gold shoes again. So, and then I guess I have one last point, which is they make an after credit scene where he's talking to Newt and telling him, you know, next time we're coming for them. Like, okay. We all know there's no next time. Everyone in this room, everyone in this cast, everyone on this project probably knows that this movie did not do well, was not going to do well. There's no third one. There is no third Pacific Rim. I will be extremely surprised if there's a third Pacific Rim. And if there is, it ain't in this decade. We're not getting it anytime soon. 'Cause that movie didn't do good. I don't know, maybe it did do good. I don't know. I haven't looked at any of the stats or anything like that. And on that note, I didn't look up any reviews or anything like that prior to this, so I don't know if any of my points have already been talked about, and some of my points might not even be, like, you know, worth bringing up, because it might already have answers. I don't know. I didn't look up anything. This is just pure off-the-cuff annoyance. So, I'm gonna wrap it up with that. Yeah, if you thought about watching Pacific Rim Uprising, or Pacific Rim 2, and you like the first Pacific Rim, don't. Keep it that way. Cherish the first one. Second one's garbage. Don't watch it. Bye.